What's going on, everybody? Coach McDan here. When playing Smash Bros, sometimes working up to a win can feel like an uphill battle when we feel that we have moments where we feel predictable. So today, we're going to go over how to enhance your movement with fast falling, learning specific techniques that increase your movement speed to get an upper hand in a match, and how to overall use these techniques to be more consistent. When diving into this lesson, you could assume that this topic can be more of a broad term than learning just one basic concept. There's a ton of ways to increase attack and defensive options that we'll get into in a later video. But today, we're going to focus on fast fall options specifically, and how utilizing them on and off stage can be beneficial to anyone who plays the game. Before diving into this guide today, it's important to recognize that you have tap jump off and tilt stick on in your control settings. Something that I've covered in my control stick jump guide. Definitely check that out if you want more info. So with that being said, let's dive into our warm-up today. Go into training mode, and with any character, begin to practice doing forward air and back air. Do each aerial 15 consecutive times, and try to recognize what aerial is faster for your character. It'll be an important aspect of this next part of the lesson, so keep an eye out. Typically, when thinking about fast fall aerials, there are a handful of reasons as to why a player would want to utilize them. But they're still all important factors to mixing up your movement speed overall to trip up your opponents. Fast falling is already a unique concept of its own that involves pointing downward at the peak of your character's jump. You'll want to focus on when you see a purple spark when you point down with the control stick at the peak of your jump, as this is what can help you identify from just holding down and landing back to stage, or just fast falling back to stage. And yes, there are differences. Learning this concept can make punishing your attacks a bit more difficult if you don't typically recover at the same speed all the time, so you can keep this in mind the next time you grab ledge or try landing back to stage. Utilizing fast falling aerials is very commonplace in Smash Bros when it comes to a character's unique combos, so typically it's best to recognize that some fast fall aerials can help with falling through platforms, performing combos, and even just helping to recover even faster. Typically, players that use aerials tend to short hop and use their fastest or most disjointed aerials to attack their opponent. And since results may vary with each character, you'll want to do some research to find out what aerials are best to use in neutral with your own character specifically, whether it be forward air, back air, or neutral air. So with that in mind, let's focus on a scrim that was similar to our warm-up. But do 30 consecutive short hop fast fall aerials with neutral air. Really take the time to hone in and focus your attention on pressing X and Y to short hop, outputting an aerial, at the peak of your jump, fast falling, and see how fast you start to move. If you get good enough at timing after some practice, you can recognize just how fast-paced things can get. Practicing fast fall aerials is not only an effective way to start setting a new pace within a match, but also opens up the doors to make the most out of your character's combos that you can perform. Another option that helps in a more defensive way is learning how to fast fall air dodge. This is typically used to reset neutral or cross-up opponents. You can also use downward air dodge to land on platforms faster to output your attacks quicker than just landing on a platform regularly. So keeping this in mind, you can understand that these two techniques can both help you get on and off the platforms rather than doing it in a more traditional way. This oftentimes gives you the upper hand in matches when you learn how to capitalize on them with lots of practice. So let's get that started today with your next scrim. Play 5 to 7 games online with a friend or playing a CPU with a level you're comfortable with, and focus on implementing both fast fall aerial and air dodging techniques that you learned today. And as per usual, the goal of these games is to not outright win them, but instead allow you to gain more experience to build up your progress with your movement skills that will inevitably earn you those wins more naturally.